Hey, welcome to this podcast. My name is Jimmy White. This is my wife, Renata, and we've done a podcast, just a few, I don't know which episode you would have listened to, about our differences. We talked about our kids and how we raised them. Now we've got the evidence with us. So they're going to verify whether or not what we told you on that podcast was true or not. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves and just tell them what they do, where they work, and we'll get started with this podcast.
Welcome to the Ignite podcast, where biblical wisdom meets modern parenting, where it's our mission to help empower and equip parents and caregivers, as well as the local church, walking with you in implementing faith-filled language for everyday moments through God's love, a blend of encouragement, real stories, and honest conversations, so families can actively engage with their children and transmit their faith to the next generation. Let's get into it.
Go ahead, Jathan.
All right. My name is Jathan. I have a beautiful wife. Her name is Morgan. We have a dog, no kids. I work at Jack Henry & Associates. I'm a business analyst there. And that's all I got for you guys.
All right.
I'll send it over to my sister.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn. My husband and I have 3 beautiful kids, Stratton, Cannon, and Lennon. And we are campus pastors in Northwest Arkansas.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I have a beautiful wife named Hannah, and together we have 2 boys, Judah and Jet. And together we work at Legacy Church in Hot Springs. I serve as the spiritual development pastor, and my wife's the kids pastor there at Legacy. And yeah.
I noticed you didn't mention your dogs.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
They live in my home. They're not my dogs, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we better get started before this goes off the rails. And so we're here talking about growing up as pastors' kids, which the 3 of you did. And so, we pastored for over 30 years and as we were raising you. And so what would be something that you would say, each of you, and I'll let whoever wants to go first, what was a fun moment or experience that you had being raised in a preacher's home?
So this is my cue to go first. So there's lots of good memories that I had growing up in ministry. The one that really comes to my mind is a less glamorous moment. I'm thankful that times have changed, but this memory comes back from when pastors used to sit on the stage. This specific day, I was being a distraction, and I was talking with my friends in the middle of my dad's message, and I heard the loud booming voice of Jordan White. Please come sit on the stage with me.
That happened to me too.
Yeah.
You had to sit on the stage?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can reimagine just the amount of sweat that was taking place just as I took as long as possible to make it up on that stage. And I made it up there, and I just remember Dad leaning over and whispering, like, we'll take care of this when we get home.
Did he?
And then he just picked back up like there was nothing, didn't even skip a beat.
Yeah.
I'll just put it this way. He really followed the Proverbs in 13 where he did not spare the rod that day.
Oh, wow.
He didn't spoil the child.
Did he have to do it more than once?
Probably.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that was the day you tore up my picture or not. But
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably so.
So that was one of your moments.
I too had to be called up to the stage to sit, but you were in the nursery.
Yeah. You
So
weren't in there.
Sitting with me.
So I had to sit up on the stage.
Well, can't we have a different story? Do we have to have this one?
I'll go. I
Okay.
like being a part of all the parties.
Do you like that?
So even if it was a women's party at our house, I was a part of it.
Yeah, you are.
Shout out to the Prime Timers. That was my favorite one. I love being the center of attention for them, and they loved that I was the center of attention for them.
Yes.
But that was my group of people. So just being a part of them, and that was fun having them all at my house. I didn't like having to clean my house, clean my room once a month to have everybody over, but it was fun being a part of all the groups, even if I wasn't directly a part of them. It's powerful.
Well, it is. They loved you too. They didn't really want to come unless you were there. Yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah, I know. You're the youngest. That's what I say. As the oldest, what do you remember? 'Cause,
I guess for me, at our childhood church growing up, there was a lady in the church who always took care of us PKs, and we had Christmas on the platform, and we had to open our presents. I didn't like that part, but
opening
we had to open our presents in front of the church. You were too little.
You were too little. Yeah.
Cersei?
Yeah,
it was the better days, just the two of us getting all the gifts, the attention.
Naturally.
Yeah, Sharon really took care of them, and it was almost embarrassing, all the gifts that they had to open. But she wanted to make sure that because there was so much pressure on preachers' kids, she wanted to make sure that you two knew, or three later on, knew that you were loved by the church, and that's why she did that. And so she wanted the whole church to know that you were loved by the church, and so she wanted to make sure of that. So if that was, Jordan actually kind of shared one of his, I don't know if that was a fun moment or not, me calling him up there, but what were some of the pressures that you felt then growing up in a PK home?
That was a dad.
I'll go for it.
Take it away. Take it away. The floor is yours.
I don't feel like I had any pressures growing up because I felt like you guys did a good job protecting us from all the negative.
Right.
So I don't really feel like I had many pressures growing up as a pastor's kid.
Right.
Do you wish that that is true? We always, when there was things in the church that we didn't want the kids to know, we kept it amongst ourselves.
Right.
Do you wish, looking back, that we had shared some of those times with you? Like when there was some things that trouble would come up in a church, we didn't want you guys to know because we always wanted you to see the good. Do you wish we would have shared a little bit of that with you?
Then I don't think I could have handled it, but now, especially being in ministry, I wish you would have more, but then I don't think I could have handled it.
Yeah. And really, because we didn't have a manual, so we didn't know what to do. We just knew we wanted you to love Jesus and love the church, regardless of whether or not you served in the church later on or not. We wanted you to not have a skewed vision of people in the church.
Yeah.
It's probably best y'all didn't tell us because just as a kid, I would have told my friends. I'd be like, wow, this happened to this person. And then they probably would have told somebody and probably would have gotten out.
And you probably would have felt different towards those people.
Absolutely.
And we didn't want you to act different towards the people. Yeah.
I think it's probably a balance. If you don't share anything, then there's the false reality of like on social media, you share the highlight reel.
Yeah.
So if there's not anything, like any issues you address or discuss, I mean, you use wisdom in what that is, but you don't want your kids to grow up and think like the church is perfect because that's going to crumble
And we kind of painted that for y'all, I feel like. Don't you think? We kind of painted a perfect picture.
In ways, but I don't think it was, I think there was the time, eventually you gain wisdom on your own and you realize like, okay, this isn't really perfect like I thought it was. But again, I think it's a balance. You just balance in, the good moments. You want your kids to know like church is a positive thing and this is a place where you can grow, but there's also the reality of we're all humans. We make mistakes and we're imperfect.
Yeah.
Well, for example, I had, when we were at our second church in Texarkana, I had a lady come. Jocelyn had just turned 13, 14 years old, and she was boy crazy is what she was.
Yeah,
and I had a shocker, right?
Yeah, shocker.
And I had a lady come up and say to me, you better do something about your daughter. She just likes boys so much. And I was like, what are you talking about? So we had a conversation, but I don't know that we ever told you that conversation.
Not until later when I was an adult, or maybe later in life.
So that was like, Then we had, another lady that, or both of you, they wanted you to like their daughters. So your mom had to navigate all of that process because, here we are, the pastors, and they wanted you to like their daughters and things. And so, man, that was kind of, we tried to shield you from all of that kind of stuff and not put pressure there for you. Did you feel a pressure, Renata, trying to raise them that way, or?
I tried to raise them no matter if we were the pastors or not the pastors.
Right.
I always tried to teach them this is how we would live if we were just in the church or if we were not in the church.
Yeah.
I wanted them to know that serving God looks the same no matter what.
And all three of you served God in different capacities. I know for you, Jocelyn, I had you. You were involved in worship team. You were involved in fine arts. You were involved in dramas. I really didn't give you an option, did I? Yeah, no. And for Jordan and Jathan, y'all were involved in kids ministry since about the age of 12. So we wanted you to know that ministry should be a part of your life. So how did that feel to you when we made you do that kind of stuff?
I think out of that birthed the term voluntold.
Yeah.
That's kind of the life of a PK is you don't really have the option.
Yeah.
But I think that what it does is it helps to build your tools, your talents and abilities at a young age,
right.
where you kind of get a head start in a way from other kids that might not be as involved in ministry. They may be more in sports or other things, whereas for me, I was, vacuuming a nursery or cleaning up after a service, different aspects that go behind the scenes that not everybody sees, but it pays dividends. In the moment, it's miserable and you hate life because that's the life of a PK. But now on this side of it, I'm appreciative because it's nothing to me to go scrub a toilet or vacuum, and that's just who I am.
Yeah.
And so I think that really instilled in me, like, the title doesn't constitute like what you do necessarily. Like, it doesn't excuse you from the lesser things.
Right.
And it's the opposite, rather. It's like I should be the one doing the lesser things.
Right.
So that would be what I'd say.
You have anything, guys? Jocelyn?
I think it helped kind of what I said earlier about what I enjoyed being thrown into all those groups. It's not like I was like, oh, I have to volunteer. Now it's more like, oh, I'm helping this person out. Like, I love this person because I've been doing all these different things with them. I've been in their groups. I've been doing this. And so now it's like, I'm not really volunteering. I'm helping out the kids pastor.
Right.
I'm helping out the youth pastor. And so it's more, that mindset is shifted now. It's not like I'm obligated to do it. I'm like, no, I want to help you.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Yeah.
I didn't really look at it as I had to do it. It's what we did.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed doing it. So.
Well, I still remember your mom taking you, particularly Jocelyn, that when we were in Searcy and we visited, or your mom would take you visiting the nursing home, and that was just part of your world, that you would, at 2 and 3 years old, you're part of the visitation department, and so it just kind of carried on throughout our 2 churches that we pastored, that you 3 would get involved in whatever, and sometimes you had to do it because you were voluntold, and sometimes you grew to just do it because you wanted to do that. And so even today, Jocelyn, our oldest, is in ministry, and then Jordan, he's in ministry, our middle child, and then Jathan, you're still involved in leading small group or just wherever the need may be, and it feels right for you in the different places you've lived so far, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't know. Obviously, your mom and I, we parent differently. So I think, what did you learn from us that maybe you can use in your own family right now, or you just have a dog, so, but maybe you're thinking, hey, we can use this, but with your children now, is there something that, boy, this could be dangerous, me asking this, but go ahead. Is there something you've learned from us?
I think it goes back to what we just talked about, like not really given the option. Church is what we do as a family. And so we carry that on with our kids today, in that Sunday mornings we're going to be at church, we're going to be serving. As a pastor, you're the first one there and the last one there. And so I've started bringing our oldest along with me, and he's there opening up the church, turning on lights, getting things ready for people. And I love to see his excitement that, it's not something, it's shifting in him too. It's something that he enjoys doing. And so he's waking up early on a Sunday, asking if he can get ready now so he can leave with me. And so we try to do that, is to create that habit in him, because it's the early habits that build deep roots.
Yeah, we kind of do the same thing too. Just make them want to do it, not forcing them to do it.
Right. Well, you two, Jocelyn and Jordan, Jathan's the only one that ever played the card that he didn't have to do something because his dad was the pastor. So you two always kind of just got in and just did this. But Jathan always, you were
trying to slither my way out of it.
Sounds about right.
I don't think it was not doing something. I think I was where I wasn't supposed to be. I think I was
doing something you weren't supposed to.
I think I was playing somewhere with my friends, and they're like, "You're not supposed to be up here right now." I said, "I can be where I want. I'm the pastor's kid."
Yeah.
Hey.
And then
I got in trouble for saying that. Mine did too, actually.
Did too.
Yeah, he told his teacher at school when we had a school at our church that he didn't have to nap, and if she made him, that he would get his daddy to come fire her. So, I did not. No, instead I had a talk with him. That's not something we do. Already having those habits from my brother, things that I did not do, but things that he's learning from his uncle.
Teaching him young.
Yeah.
What can I say?
I don't know what you can say. All three of you have made life interesting for us, and we're happy for that. And your mom and I are just proud to watch your life as it unfolds and the things that God has for you. And so we were just talking in a previous episode that no one gave us a manual on how to raise you. And so we're just kind of like, oh, we hope we did this right. And we look back from our perspective and think we did. And we think we did a great job with you three. And so.
With two of us.
Which two?
Which two, yeah.
Which two?
I'll let the listeners decide.
That's what I'm afraid of right there.
If you have to ask.
Yeah, if you have to ask. So do you feel like... what was I don't even know what I was going to ask. You already threw me off. So
that's on me.
Okay. So you're just really, Stratton's 7,
8.
About
to be 9.
Papa
J.
Papa J failed. Wow.
He doesn't remember ours either.
That's true.
That's true. So how have things changed since you were growing up? And how has that influenced how you're raising your kids now?
I think it's a kind of a given with social media right off the bat. Social media was becoming popular right when I was in high school.
I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say it.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll save that for later. But now social media is so strong and out there. It's like you have to protect your kids, but then you have to find balance with letting them not necessarily join in with culture, but you don't want them to feel the pressures of not being a part.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a phone until I was 13, which even then, look, now that I'm a parent, wow.
You thought it was unfair, though.
Yeah.
I did. I did.
But
now Stratton's almost 9, and we're considering giving him a phone just with the way that the world is.
Yeah. But you advocated for your younger brother because we weren't giving him a phone until he was 13. And you went to bat for him to make sure.
Samsung Galaxy.
I tried to extend it. I thought it should go longer.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Still shouldn't have one to this day.
Right.
Makes sense.
I think we're the same. It's not groundbreaking evidence that devices and social media are they've taken over the world, and we've tried to be careful to not be a tool that uses us, but a tool that we use.
Right.
And so it's becoming a part of our everyday life. So if we don't teach our kids to use it in a correct way, eventually they're going to use it. Mm-hmm. And if I haven't given them the safeguard, the rails to navigate the world of social media and devices, then I've failed them as a parent. But we've even tried in our kids ministry. I was in kids ministry for 6 years, and we tried to, devices are just such a part of their everyday life, so we tried to remove that when they're at church, and we're doing activities with no devices. We're creating creative zones where they draw and Lego stations and forcing them to communicate and build that area where they're able to learn what it means to talk to somebody face to face.
Right.
And so we've taken that approach with our own kids of like, go outside, be creative, draw, read, build a fort, something like that, where, it's not something that is using them, but they're learning in balance how to use it.
Right.
So how do y'all handle that? Like, so when you allow them to be on social media or on their tablets, do y'all set boundaries? Do you set times?
I mean, for us, we don't let them watch shows unless I've previewed it, because there's so many hidden things within shows.
They sneak it in the middle of the
little
show.
snippets, 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
Is there any way you can keep them from sneaking it in like that?
No, not the kids. I'm talking about the show sneaks it in. So if we haven't previewed it, we just don't let them watch it.
If we haven't seen it first, honestly, if it's 2020, the rating of the show is year 2020 and above, it's probably going to be out because of how prevalent they put things into the shows now. There's
become tools, the AG, has Bible engagement, and then there's been other tools that have come out that we have access to now, and it's not so difficult to watch, good content shows on smart devices, and so we'll turn them loose on those and without worry or concern.
Right.
But then there's also the limiting of that, in that, at some point they know, okay, you've watched all the shows that you can watch for today, or you've played with your iPad or your Switch or whatever it is long enough. Now it's time to play with your brother or go outside or engage in something else.
Right.
Ours don't have social media yet, but there's switches that we have parent controls on it. We have time limits, so it'll shut off on its own, so we don't even have to be the bad guy.
Okay.
The switch is the bad guy.
So they're not talking to people that they don't know?
They could, but we have locks to where they can't. Yeah.
Right. So, Jathan, I know you and Morgan haven't had kids, but I know you're talking about it. What are y'all thinking about, like the switches and the time to use the iPad and stuff like that?
I think as we're trying to do what every parent says they're going to try and do before they have kids.
That's true.
You're always the best parent before you have kids.
Extremely limit
That's true.
the monitors, because kids these days are glued to it, and you can definitely see a lack of social skills that kids have now. So obviously, I'm saying that now. We'll see how it goes in a couple of years.
It's
when that
easier
has
to say it before it
Absolutely.
happened. We were out playing pickleball, and we saw the kids, and I was like, oh, look, they're over there being so good.
The ball hit them. Remember?
And they were playing on the iPad.
Yeah, and the ball hit him.
And Morgan said, oh,
And the ball hit him.
absolutely not.
You remember?
The ball hit him.
The ball hit him.
And he didn't even move.
Thank you.
He didn't even move because he's so glued.
Yeah.
And you said, I said, oh, look how good they're being. And you said, absolutely not. They're spending too much time.
At least play with me, like while I'm out there doing it.
Yeah.
But you got to be good. That's another story for another time.
Again, you're the best parent.
You play with your dad and I, and we're not good.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're not perfect either. Like, there's days where we're exhausted or we feel bad or whatever, and it's like, thank the Lord for devices.
Yeah.
And then other days it's like, okay,
it's
we're
like,
going to be more engaged here. We're going to set some boundaries.
Well, full confession, there are days when you let us watch them that we let them extend the
we know they come back home to us. They're like, we ate this at Papa J and Gigi's house, or we watched this.
We had all the Red 40 in the world.
Yeah. Oh my, that's when your mom would say to Nana, well, I'm bored. There's nothing to do, and your Nana would always say, well, here's a dust rag. You can dust. So what do you do to help your kids when they say, oh, there's nothing to do? You're going to make us be creative, and I'm bored, and those kinds of things.
I send mine outside, and they have a timer. They're not allowed to come back in until the timer's off because
they don't
want to play outside.
Yeah.
I don't know what people do with just one kid, because thank the Lord we have two, so they entertain each other.
Right.
By entertain, I mean they're wrestling and hitting and all of that.
Yeah,
but we send them both out together, or they're both inside together. You entertain each other, or you play by yourself in your rooms. But if they get bored, we'll give them something to do.
Yeah.
And what about you, Jathan?
Absolutely.
With your one?
Give them chores. You got time to lean, you got time to clean. That's right. So I'll give them some chores. I'll say, clean your room, and then they're gonna say, every time they're bored, say, go do something productive.
Productive.
Clean, do something.
Okay.
So then they won't tell me they're bored anymore.
Okay. There you go.
Let me know.
You let us know how that works.
I'll let you guys know.
Wow. We're going forward. Yeah.
We'll
So your kids, Jocelyn and Jordan, your kids are closer in age, but you three are further apart in age. You think that that was a plus? Did I hear you say that? That yours are closer
I
in
think
age?
there's positive and negative.
There are pros, but there are definitely cons.
Yeah. Well, I know your sister, she was always the boss in charge, so she made you two.
Still am.
Some things they still think.
So you two had to do things that were just amazing. But
she was the boss of her brothers.
Yes.
And now I produce someone who thinks they are the boss.
Which one?
The oldest.
Yeah.
It's the oldest that's always.
Yeah.
It's
The boss.
leadership
They're the
skills.
boss.
It's leadership.
That's what we
is.
call them.
It really
you're
is.
showing your leadership skills,
Right.
but for now I will show you,
You have
I
to
am the leader
fine-tune
of
those
this
leadership
situation.
skills.
Oh man. Well, do we have anything else you think maybe or
I don't know. What do y'all want to add? Thinking about
Anything
parenting, talking to parents that are trying right now to navigate. Is there something that you can think of?
maybe you can
that
just
would
tell
helpful?
some of the parents what you've given some great things to help them with
Or maybe-
with the measures and things. So
I mean, and as a parent that's going to be a parent, you're thinking, we were talking about earlier how we wish a manual would have came with every one of the kids, but it doesn't work
And
like
their
that.
personalities.
Yes,
And their personality, yeah.
personality. So I know you are thinking about it. You have, is there something that you could help and give advice to parents today?
I think one of the best advice ever given to me, not about personalities, but just dealing with kids in the culture that we have today. My husband Chase and I, we have decided that we're going to be open with our kids about anything. Anything that they come to us, we're going to tell them, because why not hear it from us? Mm-hmm. So we had always decided that when they come to us and ask what's going on with this, or this is happening at school, or whatever it may be, we were going to tell them. And I had a friend of mine when Stratton was in kindergarten, she said, but why would you wait? Why would you wait for him to come to you and the world can get to him first? Why would you not tell him before the world gets to him? Mm-hmm. And so why not lay the foundation now of what you guys believe? And show him, hey, this is why we don't do this. This is why we don't believe and think this way, because this is what the Word of God says. So it really got us thinking, and ever since then, we're really open, and we tell them up front, this is what's going on.
That's good.
And so you're saying you use the Bible to help you
To back it up.
To navigate that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I read a book early on in my kids ministry, before kids, that has really played a part in raising my kids. It's called Raising a Modern Day Joseph, and talking about, the story of Joseph from Genesis and how he was sold as a slave by his brothers. And it's believed that he would have been around the age of 17. And so the whole book kind of breaks down, like, if I only have these 17 years, the traits that were in Joseph before he was faced with the temptations of Potiphar's wife, or being in prison, and he somehow just made the right decisions at every step of the way.
Yeah.
Those traits were in him well before he was ever sold as a slave. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm going to raise a modern day Joseph, it doesn't start when they're a teenager. It starts now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think, myself included, we're guilty of, we go, we're at work, we're giving our all to work, and then we come home exhausted, and we take that time to check out, where really that should be my time to check in to my family and
That's hard,
say, because
exhausted.
if I haven't checked in, if I haven't engaged in what my kids care about, eventually they're not going to be as open with me, because nobody wants the input of somebody who's not gone along the journey with them, or if you don't care about what I care about or what interests me, then I'm not going to give you the platform to speak into my life. And so we've tried to create the place, as sometimes brutal as it is, to sit through the show that they like, or to play the games that they like, or go outside with them and play together, so that later on that door remains open for communication with them. And so that's a big thing. I think my a last thought, if you will. One of the quotes by a person that means a lot to me, Larry Burton, he told me, never sacrifice your family on the altar of ministry.
That's good.
In that your first and your last ministry will always be your family. There'll be the people there standing by you when you're seldomly celebrated, and there'll be the people standing beside you when you get dragged through the mud more than you're celebrated.
Yeah.
And so if I neglect them on the altar of my ministry, I've failed altogether, because that was the first thing that God entrusted to me well before I worked at Legacy Church or any other place. And so that was big for me to know that, especially for those in ministry, that your ministry is big. It's a great thing that God's called you to, but the first thing He's trusted you with is your kids, your family.
To piggyback off of your first thought, I would just add to start as young as they possibly, don't wait until they're 12 to start getting into their world. Start even as young as 1, you know, don't wait. You're laying the foundation now when they're 1 year old, even to just establish this is who we are. This is what we do as a family.
Well, that's great advice. You know, we told them in the previous podcast, we're not perfect. We never were. We wish you had a manual. We think we've done it right, and I think I could speak for your mom and me that we're just excited to see the next step that you've taken, and Jathan will take, and see what God's going to do in the next. Because really we want to leave a legacy, and that's really where it starts and where we build is from here, and then we continue on. So thanks for sharing. I think it's going to be helpful to people listening, and raised in a preacher's home it really should be no different. Sometimes it is because of the fishbowl, but thank you for living solid and strong in the things that God has for you. And so that's what this podcast was.
Thank you for joining us in these powerful conversations that support real talk on navigating faith-based parenting. And if you love this episode as much as we did, be sure to like and subscribe so we can invite you back. And connect with us on our socials, Ignite Parenting on Facebook and Instagram, or visit igniteparenting.com. We hope we've inspired you to learn and grow in raising lifelong followers of Jesus, building our church, our family.